Understand why classes must be declared before use. Classes in JavaScript are not hoisted, so you must define them before using them. In JavaScript, you will get an error if you try to use a class before it is declared. So let's make an example together and see how hoisting works when it comes to classes in JavaScript. So I'll go ahead, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a call to an object without having declared it first. So I'll go ahead and say my car equals to new car. Throw the name full. Now I've made a call to the class, but I've not defined it now. So let me go ahead and define the class. So I'll call it car. And inside it, I want the constructor property name that will take a brand of the car. Sorry. And then inside this, I want to set the car name to be equals to brand. So now I've accomplished the first step, which is create class and property. Now, the next thing says create an object. So this is what I did here. Now access the value. Let me now try to output the value of this. Document.getElement by ID demo .inner HTML to update the element. My car name. Now you can see that nothing is displayed on the screen. So let's inspect inside my browser to see if we are going to get a clue about what exactly is wrong in this code. I will check the console. You can see uncaught reference error. Can't access lexical declaration car before initialization. So this error is telling us that we are trying to access a class that has not been declared. And that is where the concept of hoisting comes into play. Because this example basically shows us that you cannot use car before it is declared. Because in JavaScript, classes are not hoisted. You must define them before you use them. Unlike traditional function where you can call a function and then make the function later and it will still work. So in a function, let me comment this part out. Traditionally, let's say you have const, let me just say anything. So 2 and 5. Or let me just assign it and the result equals to sum. Now this is a function call. And if I go ahead and make the function now, say function A and B, return A plus B. Now if I try to output what I have on the screen now, let's see what happens. Document.getElement by ID equals to result. Now in JavaScript, when you're working with functions in their own senses are not hoisted. That is, you can call a function before you declare it. And this is a simple example I just used in demonstrating that. You can see that here I've already sent a signal for the function to be called. It was now later that I made the function, and here I'm accessing the value to print it out on the screen, which is what I'm getting. If we now try something like this exactly for classes in JavaScript, it will not work, because in classes, when working with JavaScript, classes in JavaScript are not hoisted. So let me uncomment this back let's see that this will return back to the former error that we checked in the console earlier. You'll see can't access lexical declaration car before initialization. So classes in JavaScript are not hoisted. That is, you cannot access them before you declare them. So it has to be that you declare before you access them. Now, if I move this down now to show you that this will work. Now you can see it now. You can see Fovo. So you can see that this is working now because I've moved that part down to the bottom of our code. So by default, class must be declared. And after declaration is when it becomes available before you can now create an object and use it. Hoisting is basically moving declaration to the top. It's what I did with function earlier, automatically by JavaScript. You cannot use classes before initialization because classes needs to always be declared before using it. Unlike functions that can be used before they are written, but for classes, they don't work like that. So you must declare classes before you use them. Otherwise, your code will throw an error. Now, why do you think that error happened? Okay, the error happened because the class didn't exist yet. So key takeaways from this lesson to note are these. Classes are not hoisted. They must be declared before use. Classes are different from functions, and order of code also matters when you are working with classes in JavaScript. In JavaScript, not everything behaves the same. Understanding hoisting helps you avoid common error. When you understand what hoisting does, then it will help you to avoid common error. If I take this back now, then we'll return back to the same error and nothing will be shown on the screen. So you can't access a class before it is being declared. And that is to tell you that classes in JavaScript are not hoisted.